Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In my state of Tennessee, which has many wonderful things about it, and then a whole bunch of things that are pretty awful about it, we don't allow DACA students, immigrants who've come without proper papers, to go to college and get in-state tuition. And we also don't allow them to get Hope Lottery scholarships, which is given to the best and brightest students to encourage them to stay in the state and help subsidize their education. To me, that's a sin, and it shows that certain people who probably couldn't qualify for a Hope Scholarship are now making the laws. Because we take our smartest and our brightest and we refuse them the opportunity and the encouragement to stay in our state. We want to send them to Mississippi and New Jersey and wherever. Did any of the students here before us, and y'all are at Harvard and UCLA and University of New Mexico and some other schools that are almost as good as Vanderbilt and University of Memphis, did any of y'all get refused scholarship money when you were, is it Ruiz? You were nodding.
Irasoki Ruiz.
Yes, and were you refused scholarship money?
So I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and at the time, this was way back in 2008, there's standardized testing called AIMS, and if you excelled in all portions of the test, you were offered a special scholarship for in-state institutions.
Right.
I remember at my high school, there were 3 students who excelled in all portions, myself, my twin sister, and another classmate. And I remember talking to the counselor, and she was talking us through the process of how the scholarship is going to work. And then we get to the point of where's your social security number? And this was after already learning about our immigration status, and we said, well, we don't have one. And she said, well, then you can't get this scholarship.
And that affected you and anybody in your like setting?
I'm sorry?
And that affected you and anybody in the similar setting, right?
Correct.
New Mexico.
Since then my family has left Arizona, my home is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Okay. I don't know what the difference is in policy and access to education there, but in New Mexico I was able to do something that I wouldn't have been able to do in Arizona. We have access to in-state tuition and in-state scholarships because the community has fought to give us access to that, and so I was able to obtain my Bachelor of Science thanks to these scholarships, in addition to funding my education myself through hard work. And
you're in medical school now.
Correct. I'm in medical school now, and there's no funding for professional and graduate school. So my first 2 years of medical school, I worked full-time to be able to pay for my tuition. So there's still gaps out there.
And any other students here refused scholarship money because of your status? You're lucky you didn't live in Tennessee, because then you'd have been discriminated against in a foolish policy. I was able to visit Honduras, and in Honduras we were urged to allow people under temporary protected status to remain in our country, and the president and his wife, and they were very impressive, made clear that there were just not jobs available and opportunity available for people who were in the United States under that particular status to get jobs and feel protected if they returned to Honduras. Honduras has lots of crime, and that's the reasons I think the people left. For those students who are here, if you had to go back to your home nation, I think there's somebody here from Mexico and maybe somebody from Liberia, and help me with the other countries, maybe from El Salvador and Korea. Korea may be a little different story, but from the other countries, what would happen if you had to go back to your nation of origin? Yes, sir, Mr. Palma.
Yeah, thank you for the question, and I think it's something that we all with TPS are struggling at this specific moment. As you just mentioned, the country conditions are not there, and that's why TPS has been renewed for so many years. We have built a life here, and this is the place that our kids were born and called home. So it's a very difficult situation to think about it, and we really are focusing and trying to make sure we can continue living here in the United States, because this is the place that we all know is our home, and that's why we hope that we will work and that we can achieve permanent residency, because struggling with that question is very hard, and we really want to focus and working to achieve permanent residency and to continue motivating our kids to really focus on school at this moment.
The gentleman's time has expired.
I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman, Mr. Biggs from Arizona, is recognized.